Have you ever wondered what lies beyond the edge of our solar system? The places where no human eye has ever seen? Stick around and subscribe if you want to drift with me into the quiet, mysterious voyage of humanity's loneliest traveler, Voyager. Tonight, I'm going to tell you a story that's not only real, but still unfolding in the deep silence of space. This is Voyager's journey beyond the stars. If you stay with me, you'll hear about golden records carrying messages for aliens, strange signals from the edge of space, and how one tiny machine built by humans became eternal. And the best part? The further we go, the calmer the story becomes, like floating in a dream where you lose sense of time. So let's begin. In 1977, the world was very different. Gas was cheap, disco ruled the nightclubs, and the world was still in the middle of the Cold War. But on a launch pad in Florida, something far bigger than politics was about to rise into the sky. NASA scientists weren't just sending another satellite into orbit. No, this time they were sending a time capsule, a messenger, a tiny machine that would leave Earth, never return, and keep going forever. The spacecraft was called Voyager. Actually, there were two of them, Voyager 1 and Voyager 2. They were small by today's standards, about the size of a car. But inside, they carried some of the most advanced technology of the time. To give you an idea, the computer that ran Voyager had less memory than the average digital watch today. Yet, somehow, with those fragile beginnings, Voyager would become humanity's longest and farthest journey. Imagine this, a fragile object with thin golden arms, a dish pointing back at Earth, slowly spinning through the void. It's so far away now that signals from Earth take over 22 hours to reach it. Think about that. You send a message, and almost a day later, Voyager hears it. Then, it sends back a reply, and you wait another day. 2 whole days for a single question and answer. But before we get to the lonely darkness, let's rewind to its first steps. Voyager wasn't just launched at random. The 1972nd had something special. A once in 176 years alignment of the outer planets. Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune lined up in such a way that Voyager could use their gravity like a cosmic slingshot, pulling it from one giant planet to the next, saving fuel and giving speed boosts. NASA couldn't resist. If they missed this window, they'd have to wait until the 2102nd. So they built Voyager and launched it into history. Now, Voyager wasn't just a machine for science. It was also a messenger. Tucked on its side was a golden record, a literal golden-plated disc about the size of a vinyl album. On it, scientists had recorded sounds of Earth, birds chirping, whales singing, thunder rolling across the sky. They recorded greetings in 55 different languages. They even included music from Bach to Chuck Berry. And in case aliens didn't know how to play a record, they engraved instructions right on the cover. It was like saying, if you ever find this, here's how to listen. When you think about it, it's kind of funny. Imagine an alien millions of years from now floating by this dusty spacecraft, picking it up and saying, "What is this strange thing?" Then slowly figuring it out and hearing the sound of a human baby crying, or the laughter of children, or Beethoven's symphony. It's humanity saying, "We were here. This is what we sounded like." But back to Voyager's journey. The first stop, Jupiter. In 1979, Voyager 1 flew past the gas giant, and for the first time, humans saw Jupiter's moons up close. One of them, Io, stunned everyone. It wasn't just a boring rock, it was alive. Volcanoes were erupting, spraying sulfur high into space. No one had ever seen an active volcano outside Earth before. It changed how we thought about moons forever. Voyager showed us swirling storms the size of Earth, lightning in Jupiter's atmosphere, and colors we had never dreamed of. The famous Great Red Spot? Voyager revealed it in detail. A storm that had raged for centuries, big enough to swallow 3 Earths. After Jupiter, it moved on to Saturn. And here's where Voyager gave us one of the most beautiful surprises of the mission, the rings. We had seen Saturn's rings before through telescopes, but Voyager flew close, capturing details never imagined. The rings weren't just solid bands, they were made of countless icy particles, some as small as snowflakes, others as big as mountains, all orbiting in perfect, delicate harmony. One picture showed Saturn backlit by the sun, its rings glowing like a halo. Even hardened scientists admitted they had tears in their eyes seeing that image. It was as if Voyager had shown us a piece of art painted by the universe itself. And yet, as beautiful as these moments were, Voyager had a problem. It was moving farther and farther away. Every mile added more silence, more distance, more waiting. The spacecraft that had sent such crisp images was slowly turning into a whisper in the cosmic dark. But Voyager was not done yet. It had 2 more giants to visit, Uranus and Neptune. Voyager 2, the twin spacecraft, handled those. It showed Uranus, pale blue and mysterious, with moons that no one had ever seen. Then, in 1989, Voyager 2 reached Neptune. It revealed storms raging across the planet and a strange moon called Triton, where geysers of nitrogen sprayed from beneath the surface. Think about this for a moment. These places were billions of miles away, and yet a tiny spacecraft built with 1972nd technology was sending us postcards. Pictures of worlds no one had even imagined in detail before. By the time the Voyagers finished with the planets, the 1992nd had arrived. They had done what no other machine had ever done, and yet their greatest journey was still ahead. Because once they passed Neptune, there were no more planets. Only the edge of the solar system and beyond. That edge, by the way, isn't like a wall. It's more like an invisible bubble. The sun blows out a constant stream of particles called the solar wind. That wind creates a giant bubble around the solar system called the heliosphere. Voyager was headed for the boundary, and crossing it meant leaving the sun's protective bubble and entering true interstellar space, the space between the stars. It's a place no human, no probe had ever been before. Voyager kept drifting outward, slowly leaving the familiar warmth of the Sunday. Imagine watching a candle flame from across the room, bright at first, but the farther you step away, the smaller it looks. That's what the sun became for Voyager, a distant spark, still powerful, but fading with every million miles. At this point, the spacecraft had been traveling for over a decade. Earth had changed a lot. The Cold War was easing, computers were showing up in homes, the internet was being born in small labs. But Voyager? Voyager kept sailing, indifferent to human dramas. It didn't care about wars or peace treaties. It didn't know what disco was, or that CDs were replacing vinyl back home. All it knew was to keep going, to keep listening for signals, and to keep whispering back its discoveries. And those whispers, oh, they became precious. The farther Voyager traveled, the fainter its voice grew. Imagine talking to a friend across a canyon. At first, you hear them clearly. But as they walk away, their voice thins, breaks, and you have to strain your ear. That's what NASA had to do, build bigger ears. They used giant radio dishes on Earth, part of what's called the Deep Space Network. These dishes are massive, some nearly as wide as a football field, just to catch that single delicate signal coming from Voyager. Now, let's pause and think about where Voyager was heading. The solar system doesn't end at Neptune. No, beyond the planets lies a vast wilderness of icy fragments, comets, and dust. It's called the Kuiper Belt. And beyond that, the Oort cloud, a sphere of frozen bodies surrounding our sun like a ghostly shell. Voyager was headed straight for this frontier. But there was something more mysterious waiting, the boundary between our sun's influence and the rest of the galaxy. Scientists call it the heliopause, the edge where the solar wind, that stream of particles from the sun, finally collides with the winds of other stars. Crossing it is like stepping from a warm bubble bath into the cold, infinite ocean. For decades, astronomers could only dream of what lay out there. Voyager was about to find out. Of course, this journey wasn't without challenges. Voyager wasn't built to last forever. Its power comes from tiny nuclear batteries, warm blocks of plutonium that slowly decay, releasing heat converted into electricity. At launch, they provided plenty of power, but by the 1992nd, the batteries were weakening. NASA had to make hard choices. One by one, instruments were shut off, like lights in a house when you're saving electricity. The cameras were turned off after the famous pale blue dot picture in 1990, a haunting image of Earth as a tiny speck suspended in a sunbeam. That picture, by the way, deserves its own pause. Voyager, 3.7 billion miles away, looked back at Earth for the last time, and there we were, a dot smaller than a pixel, hanging in the vastness. Carl Sagan, the astronomer and poet of science, described it beautifully. Look again at that dot. That's here. That's home. That's us. He reminded us that every king, every soldier, every mother and child, Every joy and sorrow in human history happened on that pale dot. The picture wasn't just science, it was philosophy. It was Voyager telling us, remember how small we are and how precious this fragile planet is. After that, Voyager turned its eyes forward. No more looking back, only the endless dark ahead. By the early 2002nd, Voyager was nearing the outer edges of the heliosphere. The solar wind was slowing, bumping up against the interstellar medium. Scientists began to notice strange signals, changes in cosmic rays, fluctuations in particle densities. It was as if Voyager was pressing its hand against a curtain, about to push through. And then, in August 2012, it happened. Voyager 1 crossed into interstellar space, the first human-made object ever to do so. Think about that. A machine built with 1972nd technology, still faithfully sending whispers back across billions of miles, had left the sun's bubble. It was floating in the space between stars. No spacecraft had ever gone so far. The announcement was made quietly, but it was historic. Humanity had become interstellar. Not in the way of science fiction, no warp drives, no glowing alien encounters, but in a humble, almost poetic way. A small probe with a golden record on its side had crossed the threshold. And here's the part that gives me chills. Voyager is still out there, right now, as you listen to this, traveling at nearly 38,000 miles per hour. Every second, it drifts farther from home. If you could somehow hitch a ride, it would take over 70,000 years to reach the nearest star, Proxima Centauri. But Voyager doesn't mind. It doesn't sleep. It doesn't get lonely. It just sails. Of course, there are challenges ahead. Its power is fading. NASA engineers estimate that by the mid-2032nd, Voyager will be silent. Its instruments will go dark one by one until only the code remains. After that, it will keep going silently, a ghost ship drifting among the stars. And yet, that golden record ensures it will never truly be forgotten. Even if Earth is gone someday, Voyager will carry our voice, our laughter, our music. It's the longest time capsule ever made. And who knows, maybe millions of years from now, some distant intelligence will find it. Maybe they'll place the record on a turntable, hear the crackle, and then the sound of a heartbeat. They'll know, once, a species called humans lived on a blue planet. So Voyager's greatest problem isn't a mechanical failure. It isn't even distance. Its greatest challenge is time itself, the slow fading of its voice, the eternal silence that waits beyond. But that's also its beauty, because silence is what makes Voyager eternal. After 2012, Voyager was no longer just a spacecraft inside our solar system. It was an interstellar traveler. But what does that really mean? Interstellar space is not empty, not completely. It's a vast ocean of invisible particles, atoms, dust, radiation drifting between stars. You might imagine it as silent nothingness, but Voyager revealed that even in the quiet, there are faint currents, like the soft lapping of waves on a shore. these currents tell us stories about what lies beyond. The probe's instruments began to measure cosmic rays, those high-energy particles born from exploding stars. Before crossing the heliopause, most of those cosmic rays were blocked by the sun's magnetic field. But once Voyager stepped outside, the cosmic rays came flooding in, stronger, sharper, like rain hitting an umbrella that had just been taken away. Scientists cheered. It was proof that Voyager had really left the bubble. Still, Voyager wasn't alone in this frontier. Far behind, Voyager 2 was on its own path. Launched just weeks earlier in 1977, it had taken the grand tour visiting not just Jupiter and Saturn, but Uranus and Neptune as well. That made Voyager 2 the only spacecraft ever to have seen all 4 giant planets up close. In 2018, decades later, Voyager 2 also crossed into interstellar space. 2 travelers now, twin messengers, both beyond the sun's reach. If you could see them now, imagine them as 2 tiny fireflies glowing faintly in an endless night. They're not close to each other, they're separated by billions of miles, but they share the same fate. Forever outward, forever drifting. And yet, there's something profoundly comforting about this. Voyager isn't racing toward a finish line. It isn't chasing a destination. It's simply existing, moving forward 1 mile at a time, as if reminding us that sometimes the journey itself is the story. Back on Earth, scientists still listen. It takes patience, enormous patience. Imagine waiting 22 hours for a message to arrive, then waiting another 22 hours for your reply to reach the spacecraft. It's a conversation that takes almost 2 days for a single exchange. And yet, the dialogue continues. Humanity whispers into the dark, and Voyager whispers back. The information it sends isn't glamorous pictures anymore. Its cameras are shut down. What remains are instruments that measure magnetism, particles, and plasma waves. At first glance, these numbers might seem dull, but hidden inside them are secrets of the galaxy. In 2013, just a year after crossing into interstellar space, Voyager picked up something extraordinary, the sound of plasma waves. Now, you might ask, how can space have sound? After all, in movies, explosions in space are silent. And that's true, there's no air to carry sound waves the way we hear them. But Voyager detected vibrations in the thin gas between stars. These vibrations were converted into audible frequencies. When scientists played them back, it sounded like a ghostly chorus, long, rising tones, eerie and beautiful, like the song of a cosmic whale. If you close your eyes, you can almost hear it. A faint, otherworldly hum echoing through eternity. Voyager wasn't just exploring space. It was giving the universe a voice. Think about how strange that is. Here we are, on a small blue planet, listening to music made by the stars themselves, and the instrument recording it is a little machine the size of a car, launched before many of us were even born. And yet, with all this discovery, Voyager faced a reality. Its time is limited. Its power supply continues to shrink. Every year, engineers debate which instrument to shut down next. It's like keeping a candle alive on a windy night, shielding it carefully, hoping it will burn just a little longer. They know that one day the last instrument will flicker out and Voyager's voice will fall silent. But even silence can be profound. Picture it, a spacecraft drifting in the dark, no longer sending signals, but still carrying its golden record. Long after Earth has changed, long after we are gone, Voyager will keep flying. It will pass through the Oort cloud, the frozen shell of comets that surrounds the solar system, though that alone will take tens of thousands of years. Beyond that, it will join the stars. And here's a thought that always stops me in my tracks. Voyager is traveling toward the constellation of Fucus. In about 40,000 years, it will pass within 1.6 light years of a star called Gliese 445, 40,000 years. That's longer than all of recorded human history. Longer than the rise and fall of civilizations. Voyager will still be sailing when our languages have changed, when our cities are dust, when new species may walk the earth. And maybe, just maybe, something out there will notice. Imagine a civilization far older than ours. Beings who watch the stars like we watch waves on the ocean. They find this strange, silent traveler. They touch the golden record, read the markings, and play the sounds. And for the first time, they hear the laughter of a child, the sound of rain falling on leaves, the heartbeat of a human. Would they understand? Would they smile? Or would they be puzzled, wondering what kind of creatures we were? That's the beauty of Voyager. It's not just a machine, it's a message. A bottle tossed into the cosmic sea, carrying our story across unimaginable distances. And in a way, Voyager tells us something about ourselves. That we're curious, that we want to reach out, even when no one answers, that we want to be remembered. Voyager is proof that even the smallest voice, carried far enough, can echo forever. Voyager is still traveling, far beyond the planets we know, drifting into the emptiness between stars. And the truth is, emptiness is not empty. The space between stars is a delicate fabric. It's made of dust so fine that a single grain could float forever without colliding with another. It's made of invisible gases, thin as whispers, spread across light years of distance. It is silence, stretched so wide that even time seems to move differently. Voyager is inside that silence now, and every day it drifts farther into it. Imagine this. You are floating with Voyager. You look behind, and the sun is nothing more than a star among stars. A faint spark in the black ocean of space. The planets, all the places Voyager once visited, Jupiter with its raging storms, Saturn with its shimmering rings, Uranus tilted on its side, Neptune glowing deep blue, they are now too far away to see. They are memories, postcards from long ago, stored in Voyager's mind. Ahead, there is only darkness. Not the kind of darkness we see at night on Earth, but a perfect, eternal black, sprinkled with stars that never blink. Out here, there is no sound, no up or down, no horizon, just forward, always forward. Voyager carries on, steady and patient. And if you think about it, Patience is the heart of this story. Humans are impatient by nature. We want instant answers, instant messages, instant rewards. But Voyager moves at a different rhythm. Every whisper it sends takes nearly a full day to reach us, and nearly another day for us to reply. A single conversation stretches across 2 days. And still, the spacecraft never complains, never rushes. It simply waits. The golden record, bolted to its side, is patient too. It was built to last for billions of years. Yes, billions. The grooves carved into its golden surface will survive longer than the pyramids, longer than the mountains of Earth, longer than Earth itself. If our planet is someday swallowed by the sun when it swells into a red giant, the record will still exist. If continents shift and oceans vanish, the record will still exist. Voyager will still be drifting. But why send such a record at all? Why place a message in a bottle and throw it into an ocean so vast it may never be found? Carl Sagan, who helped design the record, said it was not really for aliens. It was for us. It was a gesture of hope, a way of saying, we were here. We cared enough to send a greeting. And that's something powerful. Because think of it, on that record is a tiny fraction of Earth's voice. A baby's cry, the sound of thunder, greetings in over 50 languages. Bach and Beethoven and Chuck Berry, and even the sound of a kiss, a human kiss, stored on a golden disc, hurtling through interstellar space at over 38,000 miles per hour. Now, Voyager's journey through the galaxy will take unimaginable spans of time. Let's try to imagine it anyway. In about 40,000 years, Voyager 1 will pass near a star called Gliese 445 in the constellation of Ophiuchus. 40,000 years is a span so large it's difficult to comprehend. 40,000 years ago, humans were painting on cave walls, hunting with stone tools, watching mammoths walk across frozen valleys. Civilizations had not yet risen. Written language did not exist. That is the amount of time Voyager will take just to pass by its next star. And then what? It will keep going. It may wander the galaxy for millions of years, perhaps billions, circling the center of the Milky Way like a tiny ghost ship. Long after our cities are gone, long after mountains have crumbled into dust, long after new stars are born and old ones die, Voyager will still be drifting. Think of it as a story written not on paper, but in motion. A story told across time itself. Voyager is the first line in a tale that will outlive us all. Of course, before it becomes silent forever, Voyager still has a role to play. Its instruments are giving us precious data about interstellar space things we could never measure from Earth. We have learned that cosmic rays are denser beyond the heliosphere, that magnetic fields are twisted and tangled, and that the plasma between stars sings in strange, haunting tones. Without Voyager, all of this would have been guesswork. With Voyager, we have proof. And while this sounds technical, think of it another way. Voyager is tasting the ocean of the galaxy for us. It dips its hand into the cosmic water and tells us what it feels. Here, it whispers, the currents are stronger. Here, the winds are colder. Here, the stars have left their fingerprints. But even as it sends this precious knowledge, the candle of its power grows weaker. Each year, NASA must choose which instruments to keep alive and which to let go. It is a slow goodbye. The camera went first, then the spectrometer, then others. Soon, only the bare minimum will remain a heartbeat in the silence. And then, one day, even that will end. What happens then? Nothing dramatic. Voyager will not explode. It will not crash. It will simply become quiet. A silent traveler, gliding in the darkness forever. And strangely, that silence feels right. It feels poetic. Because Voyager was never about the noise. It was always about the journey. Imagine, millions of years from now, Voyager still sailing. By then, Earth will have changed beyond recognition. Maybe there will be new civilizations, maybe new species, maybe nothing at all. But somewhere in the vastness, a small golden record will still exist, carrying the echo of rain, the cry of a baby, the heartbeat of a human. It's humbling, it's haunting, and it's beautiful. Long before Voyager ever touched the edge of interstellar space, it gave us gifts much closer to home glimpses of the outer planets that no human eye had ever seen in detail before. Let's go back, gently, to those first encounters. Imagine the year 1979. Voyager 1 had been traveling for 2 years, and its destination loomed ahead, Jupiter. Through telescopes, Jupiter had always been a giant marble in the night sky, striped and swirling. But telescopes could never reveal what Voyager was about to see. When the spacecraft approached, its cameras switched on. The first close-up images streamed back to Earth, pixel by pixel, building slowly on computer screens. And what they revealed was astonishing. Jupiter wasn't just large, it was alive. There was the great red spot, a storm larger than Earth, swirling for centuries like a scar on the planet's face. There were lightning storms, flashes of electricity the size of continents, lighting up the clouds. The atmosphere boiled and churned in colors of cream, copper, and rust. It was not just a planet. It was a living, breathing weather system, more powerful than anything Earth could imagine. And then came the moons. The Galilean moons had been known since the 1600s, but Voyager showed them for the first time in all their strange glory. Io, the closest moon to Jupiter, shocked everyone. Instead of a dead, cratered world, it was alive with fire. Volcanoes erupted constantly, spraying fountains of sulfur hundreds of miles into space. Some of the plumes rose taller than Mount Everest. For the first time in history, we saw active volcanoes on another world. Europa was different, smooth, icy, cracked like shattered glass. Scientists looked at those images and began to wonder, could there be an ocean beneath this frozen surface? Could there be water? And perhaps even life? Voyager planted that seed of curiosity, a mystery still studied today. Ganymede turned out to be larger than the planet Mercury, covered with ridges and grooves, a world with a history written in ice and rock. And Callisto, scarred and ancient, carry the record of billions of years of impacts, like a memory etched in stone. From Jupiter, Voyager slingshotted onward, pulled by gravity toward Saturn. And Saturn was a dream. Everyone had seen it through telescopes, with its glorious rings. But Voyager gave us the truth. The rings were not solid bands at all, but countless icy particles orbiting in delicate harmony. Some were tiny as snowflakes, others were as large as mountains. All of them circling together, making a structure more intricate than any cathedral built by human hand. Voyager's cameras captured Saturn backlit by the sun, the rings glowing like a cosmic halo. Even scientists admitted they wept when they saw the images. It was too beautiful for words, as though the universe itself had painted something only Voyager could reveal. And there were moons. Titan, Saturn's largest, cloaked in a thick orange haze, hiding secrets beneath its atmosphere. No one could see its surface, but Voyager confirmed that Titan was a world worth returning to, a place where rivers and lakes of methane might someday be found. Other moons were stranger still, Enceladus, small and bright, reflecting almost all the sunlight that touched it. Mimas, scarred with a crater that made it look eerily like the Death Star from Star Wars. Every moon was unique, every world a new chapter. Then came Uranus, pale and mysterious, tipped on its side like a rolling ball. Voyager 2 was the only spacecraft ever to visit it. It revealed rings faint and dark, and moons no one had ever seen before. Some moons were twisted and scarred, others smooth and strange. Uranus itself glowed in shades of turquoise, a giant that spins sideways, as if knocked over long ago by a cosmic collision. Finally, in 1989, Voyager 2 reached Neptune. Dark, windy, cold Neptune. It showed us a planet with raging storms, faster than any winds on Earth, ripping across the atmosphere at over 1,000 miles per hour. Voyager also found Triton, Neptune's largest moon, where geysers of nitrogen sprayed into space from beneath the icy crust. Triton was colder than any place measured before, yet still active, still alive, with energy. Each of these discoveries stretched the imagination of humanity. Before Voyager, these worlds were distant dots of light. After Voyager, they became places, real, tangible, mysterious places. It is difficult to describe what that means. Imagine living your whole life hearing rumors of distant lands across the ocean and then suddenly receiving a stack of photographs. Beaches, mountains, forests, proof that the rumors were real. That was what Voyager gave us. And yet, these treasures came at a cost. Every image drained power. Every transmission required patience. NASA had to ration Voyager's strength carefully, like keeping a fragile lantern alive in the wind. But the risk was worth it. Those images changed textbooks, changed science, and changed how we see ourselves. Because when you look at Jupiter's storms, or Saturn's rings, or Neptune's wings, you begin to realize something. Earth is not the center of the story. we are just one chapter in a book filled with wonders. Voyager showed us that the solar system is alive with drama, beauty, and mystery far beyond what we once believed. And here is where the story deepens. Even with all those discoveries, Voyager's greatest gift may not have been the planets at all. Its greatest gift was perspective. By looking outward, it taught us to look back, to see Earth in context, to understand that our world, with all its struggles and triumphs, is one tiny dot in a vast ocean of possibilities. Voyager continues its journey even now. It is still moving, steady and unhurried, further and further from the Sunday. Every hour that passes takes it another 30,000 miles deeper into the night. It does not stop to rest. It does not turn back. It just keeps drifting, like a feather carried by a wind too vast to see. But Voyager is growing old. Its power, once strong, is fading. When it launched in 1977, its nuclear batteries were young and full of energy. Now, decades later, those batteries produce only a fraction of the electricity they once did. Imagine a candle burning slowly, each year a little dimmer, each year a little quieter. That is what Voyager is becoming. The engineers at NASA face difficult choices. They cannot keep everything running. So, they decide carefully which instruments to keep alive and which to shut down forever. The cameras went dark long ago after giving us the gift of the pale blue dot. The spectrometers and detectors followed one by one. The spacecraft is like an old traveler laying down tools as the road stretches on. And yet, even with fewer instruments, Voyager still teaches us. It still measures the magnetic fields, still tastes the cosmic rays, still listens to the plasma waves of interstellar space. Every bit of data it sends is precious, because we know that one day soon the voice will fade. Scientists predict that sometime in the next decade, maybe in the early 2030s, the last instrument will be shut off. After that, Voyager will no longer speak to us. It will be silent forever. But that silence is not an ending. It is a continuation. Because silence in space is not emptiness, it is eternity. When Voyager finally grows quiet, it will continue to drift. For tens of thousands of years, it will glide through the Oort cloud, a vast shell of icy comets surrounding the solar system like a faint halo. Passing through it will take longer than the span of human civilization so far. Beyond that, it will enter the galaxy itself, circling the center of the Milky Way with the stars. If nothing stops it, Voyager could wander for billions of years. Long after mountains on Earth have crumbled, long after oceans have boiled away, long after the sun itself has swollen into a red giant and faded to a white dwarf, Voyager will still be moving. A ghost of humanity, carrying a golden record, gliding through the dark. That record is more than a message. It is a symbol. It says that we cared enough to say hello, that we looked up at the stars and wondered if someone was listening, that we were a species that sang and laughed and wanted to be remembered. Carl Sagan once said that the Voyager record is the sound of Earth saying, "This is us." Think of that for a moment. A single disc of gold, small enough to fit in your hands, holding the essence of our world. 55 greetings in 55 languages. The sound of rain, of waves, of birds, the cry of a baby, the kiss of two lovers, the heartbeat of life, all of it sealed into grooves of gold sailing between stars. Will anyone ever find it? Perhaps not. Space is unimaginably vast, and Voyager is unimaginably small. But that is not the point. The point is that we sent it. We dare to write our story on a golden disc and place it into the hands of the universe. That act alone is beautiful. And here is a thought that lingers like an echo. Millions of years from now, Voyager may drift past another star system. Maybe an advanced civilization will find it, study it, and listen. They may hear Beethoven and wonder who this composer was. They may hear Chuck Berry's rock and roll and smile without understanding the words. They may hear greetings from languages long forgotten and marvel at the voices of people long gone. In that moment, humanity will live again. But even if no one finds it, Voyager still has meaning. It tells us that we are explorers, that we are dreamers, that we are willing to step into the unknown even when we do not know what we will find. Voyager is a mirror, reflecting not just the stars, but who we are. And perhaps that is the legacy. Not just the images of Jupiter's storms or Saturn's rings, not just the data on cosmic rays, but the reminder that we dare to look outward, that we dare to say, we exist, we matter, and we are reaching for the stars. So the question is not how long Voyager will last. The question is what Voyager means. And the answer, whispered across the silence of interstellar space, is this. It means we are part of the universe, not separate from it, not above it, but a small, fragile voice carried on the wind of eternity. And maybe, just maybe, that is enough. Imagine the year is not 2025, not 3,000, not even 1 million. Imagine the year is 1 billion. By then, Voyager will have traveled so far that the stars we see in our sky will not even look the same. Constellations like Orion and Cassiopeia will have shifted into strange, unrecognizable shapes. Yet somewhere in that distant future, Voyager will still be there, a tiny spark of human history drifting endlessly. It is humbling to think about. Our entire species has existed for only a blink of time compared to the age of the universe. Civilizations rise and fall in mere thousands of years. Languages change, cities crumble, rivers shift their course. And yet, the Voyager spacecraft, a fragile machine made of aluminum, titanium, and wires, could outlast everything we know. But survival is not guaranteed. Space is not empty. It is filled with dust, debris, and the rare but dangerous threat of collision. Over millions of years, Voyager may be struck by a grain of dust traveling faster than a bullet. Such a tiny impact could pierce its metal skin and end its journey instantly. Or perhaps radiation will slowly tear apart its circuits until nothing recognizable remains. In that case, Voyager would turn into a silent relic, drifting aimlessly. But even if broken, even if scarred, it will still be a marker of us, a shard of human imagination cast into the ocean of the stars. Now, let's pause for a moment and think about perspective. When Voyager left Earth, disco was still playing on radios, rotary phones still hung on kitchen walls, and people still typed letters on typewriters. Decades later, everything has changed. Smartphones, the internet, satellites, circling every corner of the globe. But Voyager is still doing the same thing it did on launch day, moving outward, second by second, mile by mile, into the unknown. That is why Voyager feels almost like a time capsule, not just of Earth, but of us. It is a frozen photograph of human curiosity, forever locked into a single act of reaching out. Picture this. In 50,000 years, Voyager may drift close enough to another star system to pass unseen through its outer edges. In 200 million years, it may circle the galaxy once, making a full rotation around the Milky Way. Imagine that. Earth will have shifted continents, maybe grown new mountains, maybe lost its oceans, and Voyager will still be quietly moving, tracing an invisible line across the stars. There is a strange poetry in that. The spacecraft does not know its mission. It does not feel pride or loneliness. It just follows the laws of physics, moving in a straight path. But we, the people who built it, gave it meaning. We called it an explorer. We called it a messenger. We made it carry a record of who we are. Voyager is not alive, yet it carries our spirit of being alive. And maybe that is why so many people feel a quiet connection to it. Voyager is like a child who has gone far from home, never to return, but who still carries a piece of us in its hands. We know it will not come back. We know we will never see it again. But we also know that it is out there and that knowledge changes how we see ourselves. Sometimes, late at night, I imagine Voyager moving through the dark. No light, no sound, no familiar sun behind it, just emptiness. And yet, in that emptiness, Voyager becomes something more than metal. It becomes hope. Because if we could send this fragile little machine so far, then maybe our dreams are not so small after all. Think about the people who worked on Voyager. Scientists, engineers, technicians, dreamers. Many of them are gone now, but their fingerprints are still on that spacecraft. Their ideas are still alive in the circuits and wires that hum faintly in the dark. Voyager is their legacy, and by extension, it is ours. In the future, long after humanity itself may fade, Voyager might still wonder. Imagine if Earth itself is gone, swallowed by the expanding Sunday. Imagine if our cities and stories and even our languages are forgotten. Somewhere, 1 billion miles away, a golden record will still exist, carrying whispers of who we were. That thought is both haunting and comforting. It means we are not entirely erased. It means something of us will still remain, even if only as dust in the galaxy. And here's the quiet beauty of it. Voyager does not need to be found to matter. Its importance is not in being discovered, but in the act of being sent. It is the message we left behind, the candle we lit in the darkness. Whether anyone sees that candle is secondary. What matters is that it burns. So tonight, if you look up at the stars, remember this. Somewhere, in a direction you cannot see, Voyager is still traveling. Quiet, patient, eternal, carrying the dreams of a small blue planet into the endless sea of space. Voyager may be far away, but its presence is still felt on Earth. The spacecraft left our world physically, but in spirit it never really departed. It left behind waves that still ripple through science, art, music, and even the way we think about our place in the universe. When Voyager was first launched, it was just a machine. But over the years, it became more than a machine. It became a symbol of courage, a symbol of human curiosity, a symbol of our need to reach beyond what we can touch. Think about how many people were inspired by those first close-up pictures they sent back. For centuries, planets were blurry dots of light in the night sky, but Voyager changed that. It showed us the swirling clouds of Jupiter. It revealed the mysterious rings of Saturn. It captured the pale blue beauty of Uranus and the icy winds of Neptune. Millions of people who had never thought about space suddenly saw worlds with storms bigger than Earth, moons with volcanoes, oceans of ice, and landscapes stranger than any dream. For the first time, we realized that our solar system was not just a neighborhood of rocks. It was alive with drama. It was complex. It was beautiful. Voyager reshaped not just astronomy, but imagination. Science fiction writers picked up its stories and spun new tales. Painters tried to capture the colors of Jupiter's great red spot. Musicians wove its journey into symphonies. Poets wrote verses about its silence and its distance. Voyager became part of our culture in ways no one could have predicted when it first left the launch pad. But perhaps its greatest cultural impact came from a single picture. A picture known as the pale blue dot. At the request of astronomer Carl Sagan, Voyager turned its camera back toward home in the year 1990. From a distance of more than 3 billion miles, Earth appeared as nothing more than a faint speck, smaller than the head of a pin, caught in a beam of sunlight. That one image changed how many people see the world. It reminded us that everything we have ever known, every war, every love story, every invention, every laugh, and every tear happened on that tiny dot. Earth looked so small, so fragile, so precious, floating in the vast dark. Sagan's words about that picture became almost as famous as the picture itself. He reminded us that there is no hint that help will come from elsewhere to save us from ourselves. He reminded us that Earth is the only home we have and that we have to take care of it. In that sense, Voyager did not just explore the outer planets. It also helped us explore ourselves. It held up a mirror, one that forced us to confront how tiny we are and at the same time how special. And that cultural impact continues today. When people talk about space, when they dream about going to Mars, when they design new telescopes or write novels about the stars, Voyager's shadow is always there. Its journey whispers to us, saying, "We can go further. We can see more. We can imagine bigger. Even the golden record it carries, that simple disc of music, greetings and images, is part of its cultural legacy. The record is like a bottled message thrown into a cosmic ocean. It says, "This is who we were. This is what we loved. This is what we dreamed." Think about it. Songs from Earth are now drifting between the stars. Beethoven, Chuck Berry, traditional music from Peru and Senegal and Japan, all of it is out there, frozen in time, waiting for someone or something to listen. It is not just science that Voyager carried, but soul. In a way, the Golden Record is one of the greatest works of art ever created. Not because of what is on it, but because of what it represents. It represents our attempt to be remembered. It represents our longing to connect. Even if no alien ever finds it, the act of sending it was a masterpiece of human imagination. Voyager's story, then, is not just the story of a spacecraft. It is the story of how humans dared to send their heartbeats into space. It is the story of how we try to bridge the silence of the cosmos with music, with words, with pictures. So yes, Voyager is drifting further and further from us, but its echoes remain here. In our culture, in our art, in our thoughts. Every time we look at the night sky with wonder, we are part of Voyager's journey. Far from home, Voyager drifts through a sea of darkness. Its cameras are long switched off, its instruments mostly quiet. It no longer sends colorful portraits of planets. Now it whispers only the faintest streams of data. But that silence is not empty. That silence is a story all on its own. Picture the spacecraft gliding, untouched, in a realm where the sun is nothing more than a bright star in the distance. The warmth of our star is too weak to keep its systems alive. The spacecraft is cold now, colder than the eyes of Neptune's moons, colder than any winter on Earth. Its power fades little by little, like the last embers of a campfire glowing in the ashes. And yet, even as it drifts, Voyager is still moving faster than almost anything humans have ever built. Imagine driving a car across the length of a continent in just a few minutes. That is the kind of speed Voyager carries. Even in this deep stillness, every second it covers miles of nothingness, piling up distance against the clock of eternity. What lies ahead for Voyager? Space. Endless space. The next star it will pass, Proxima Centauri, is more than 40,000 years away at least. Think about that number. 40,000 years ago, humans were carving tools from stone. Whole civilizations have risen and fallen in less than that span. By the time Voyager drifts close to another star, everything we know today will be ancient history. It is strange, isn't it? We think of machines as temporary. Phones wear out in a few years, cars break down, even buildings crumble after centuries. But Voyager may outlast every city, every language, every country. As long as no stray rock smashes it to dust, it could survive for billions of years. Billion with a B. Long after Earth itself is changed beyond recognition. And here is the thought that gives goosebumps. If another civilization ever finds it, Voyager might be the last trace of us. Even if our planet is gone, even if our species has disappeared, that little golden record will still spin in the dark, carrying whispers of our songs and our greetings. But there is a challenge hidden here too. Space is not as empty as it seems. Tiny grains of dust, invisible clouds of gas, and even stray asteroids wander through the void. Voyager may pass through them, and though the chance of collision is low, it is never zero. Over millions of years, even the smallest speck could tear into its frame. If that happens, it will be like a candle blown out, instantly, silently, without witness. Still, there is another possibility. Maybe Voyager makes it. Maybe it drifts untouched, carrying its golden heart until it finally enters the orbit of another star. Imagine that moment. Imagine a world where intelligent beings gaze up, just as we once did, and send out ships of their own. One of them finds an object spinning slowly, covered in scars from dust and radiation. They bring it aboard, they study it, they press play, and then, in some alien world, the first sounds they hear are greetings from children in many human languages. The voices of our species, faint but clear, the hum of our music, the laughter, the songs, the heartbeat of Earth captured on a fragile disc. It is almost like a seed cast into the wind. You never know where it will land. You never know if it will take root. But the act of sending it means there is always a chance. And here is something even more beautiful. Even if no one ever finds it, Voyager is still a success. Because its journey itself, the act of daring to send it, says something about us. It says we were not satisfied with our small corner. It says we wanted to reach beyond. Every mile it drifts is like a poem written in silence. Every year it survives is like a message saying, we were here, we dreamed, we looked up. So when you look at the night sky, remember, out there, beyond the stars, you see a tiny traveler is still moving. It carries no crew, but it carries our memory. And in that way, it carries all of us. So here we are at the quiet end of Voyager's tale. We began with a spacecraft leaving home, a fragile machine built by human hands. We followed it past the gas giants, through rings of ice and storms bigger than Earth itself. We let it drift further into the deep silence where even sunlight fades away. And we imagined the golden record, that small shimmering message in a bottle waiting patiently in the cosmic ocean. It is humbling to think about. Voyager is not just a spacecraft. It is a mirror. It shows us who we are and what we choose to leave behind. We chose to send music, not weapons. We chose greetings, not warnings. We chose laughter and heartbeats, not fear. In a way, the golden record is a wish that whoever finds it, one day will understand that we were a people who loved, who dreamed, who reached beyond our small world. And Voyager itself, it teaches us patience. Think of the time scales we have talked about. Thousands of years, millions of years, billions. Voyager drifts at a speed faster than anything you or I will ever touch. And yet, Space is so vast that its journey feels endless. That, in itself, is a lesson. We often measure our lives in hours, days, years. Voyager reminds us that the universe moves on a much grander clock. Maybe, just maybe, that's why stories like this calm us. They pull us out of the rush of daily life. They remind us that our worries, our stress, our small struggles are tiny compared to the scale of the stars. Voyager is a lullaby of sorts, a slow song of distance and time. If you close your eyes right now, picture it. A small craft, alone, wrapped in shadows. No lights, no noise. Just the endless darkness, filled with more stars than grains of sand. Voyager does not hurry. It does not worry. It simply moves forward, second by second, mile by mile. And perhaps that's the lesson we can take with us tonight. To drift a little, to let go, to find peace in the journey itself. In the end, Voyager's greatest discovery may not be planets or magnetic fields. Its greatest discovery might be us, our capacity to dream beyond our own lifetime, to plant seeds we may never see bloom. That is what makes it rare. That is what makes it beautiful. So tonight, as you rest, let your thoughts wander with it, across the stars, beyond the boundaries of what we know. And maybe, in that vastness, you'll find a little stillness, a reminder that you are part of something much larger, much older, much more mysterious than anything we can fully explain. Thank you for listening to this journey. If you like to keep exploring rare space stories like this one, then stay with us. The next video on your screen will take you further into the mysteries of the cosmos. And if you haven't already, subscribe so you never miss another story whispered from the stars. Sleep well, dream of Voyager, and remember, even in the silence, we are never truly alone.